everyone, to today's live webinar, What's in Stock for Fashion, brought to you by 7th Online and Boston Retail Partners. My name is Ji-Pei Zhang, Director of Marketing at 7th Online, and your moderator today. Now in its third year, Boston Retail Partner has conducted its annual survey of over 500 retailers across North America for their merchandise planning and allocation benchmark survey. The resulting report explores the current state of merchandise and assortment planning within retail and identifies key opportunities and technology trends that further drive planning and operational excellence. Of those surveyed, nearly half are in the apparel, footwear, accessories industry, also known as ASA. This is a significant segment of retail that continues to evolve with today's rising consumer expectations in a very complex selling environment that consisted of multiple buying channels and platforms. Key innovations and opportunities exist for ASA retailers to leverage improved planning processes and technology to drive inventory productivity in this cross-channel retail environment. That is why we're delighted today to have two industry veterans with us to zero in on the apparel, footwear, accessories industry, and to take on us a journey to explore its current state of planning, draw comparisons to other retail segments, and help us highlight key opportunities and strategies for 2015. Joining me here today is Dimitri Orez, Vice President of Boston Retail Partners, and Ben Lentini, Vice President of Planning Solutions at 7th Online. In the next 30 to 40 minutes, they will share with us the key findings from the third annual Merchandise Planning and Allocation Benchmark Survey, highlight the ASA comparison results, and discuss best practices of improving planning accuracy and inventory productivity. With this information, we hope the webinar can help you move along in your strategic thinking while formulating, evaluating, or implementing your own strategies towards integrated and unified commerce. We would like today's session to be interactive, so please join in the Q&A after our two speakers conclude their prepared remarks. Please use the phone number you see on the screen for the dial-in, and yes, the recording of the webinar will be made available shortly after the live event. Now, without further ado, let me introduce our first speaker, Dimitri Orez. Dimitri currently has the supply chain practice at Boston Retail Partners. As a consultant and executive, Dimitri provides leadership in supply chain strategy and execution for many of the biggest fashion brands and global retailers. He has led major initiatives delivering significant EBITDA improvements while guiding business realignment to achieve operational agility. His expertise is in supply chain strategy, product lifecycle management, global sourcing, constraint-based optimization, demand planning, and logistics and network optimization. Dimitri, glad to have you with us today.
And glad to be here, Ji-Pei. Thank you very much. It's a great introduction into the session. I wanted to spend a couple of minutes talking about who Boston Retail Partners is, and then jump into the third annual Merchandise Planning Allocation Survey, do some comparison to what we found. This is the third year that we've done this survey, and specifically focusing on some of the trends and developments that we're seeing in the apparel, footwear, and accessories. Next. So about Boston Retail Partners. We are a management consulting firm that is wholly focused on the retail segment. We work with retailers of all types, brick and mortar, catalog, e-com, and all of the above, a number of key verticals, apparel, footwear, and accessories being one of them. The largest differentiator for our success is our team of professionals. They were CIOs, CTOs, VPs of merchandising, buyers, planners, managed retail stores, and ran distribution centers. Most of our consultants, most of our professionals walked in your shoes. Next page. In addition to working with clients, we also spend a lot of time and energy on developing thought leadership in the retail industry. Every year, we conduct 4 different surveys, this one being one of them, the other 3 being supply chain survey, customer relationship management survey, and point of sale mobile survey. We present and speak a number of key retail industry events, and we publish and comment a number of developments in the retail in dozens of publications that you probably see and receive every week. Next page. And probably the key thing for us is the trust that we were able to attain from our clients. You can see a panorama of the customers that we worked with over the last number of years to help them transform the business operations in a number of key areas from merchandise planning, allocation, replenishment, supply chain management, store operations, mobile, and e-com. With that introduction, I'm going to jump into the actual survey. And first about the actual analysis, we've contacted, as PJ mentioned, more than 500 top retailers in North America. Respondents, the folks that responded to the survey, represented a very broad range in types and size of retailers. About 3/4 of retailers had revenues between $100 million and $5 billion. And all of the respondents operate brick-and-mortar stores, but almost 90% have an e-commerce presence. So it's a pretty broad and representative range of what you see in retail. In terms of the respondents in the industry segments, nearly half run in the apparel, footwear, and accessory space. The rest are general merchandise, furniture, electronics, some grocery retailers, automotive, and do-it-yourself, and hardware retailers. Next page. And next page again. So what we are seeing is, in the last 10 or 15 years, is an evolution of retail from being a single channel in the 80s and early 90s to growing into multi-channel to slowly developing into omni-channel. And for many retailers that we talk to, that we work with, the ultimate goal is being in what we define a unified commerce. Now you may ask, what is different between omni-channel and unified commerce? From the consumer perspective, often very little. Consumers still in the omni-channel world may see a single, have a single view and consistent interaction with the brand. They may be able to order products online and pick it up at stores and have it delivered to their home. They may want to essentially buy anywhere, achieve anywhere. However, in the background, in the operational end of retail, a lot of the channels are still planned and executed in a siloed form. A lot of the inventory is managed individually and not necessarily globally. And a lot of the forward logistics and reverse logistics is still painful and not effective from the execution perspective. So what we're seeing is a number of retailers, some of the names you're very familiar with, that have migrated to the omni-channel world and are in the process of breaking down some of the silos and improving and investing in operational changes, technology, and infrastructure in order to truly provide the effective buy anywhere, ship anywhere, return anywhere platform. Next page. So what is the kind of trends and thoughts around the unified commerce with the retailers that we've talked to? Well, they certainly want to have integrated systems and processes. They clearly want to have, and some of them already developed, a transparent view of cross-channel inventory where whether you are in the store, on your computer, or on your phone or iPad, your tablet, you can see and view inventory for that retailer independent of what channel it's being positioned. And also starting to incorporate some of the planning, merchandise planning and execution that is channel independent and supporting that with, again, the improved processes and better organizational communication. But there's still a lot of struggle, and we'll talk about some of the challenges the retailers have, specifically in the apparel footwear space, where it's not a simple solution and there's no one-size-fits-all answer to how to solve this. Next page. So in terms of planning processes, most retailers across the board, and certainly in the apparel footwear, have developed and deployed at a standard merchandise financial planning. It's a given. It's been around. There's a lot of really solid tools. But when you look into assortment planning, more detail-focused store planning, cross-channel planning, and even space planning within the store, you see fewer and fewer retailers that are truly adapted some of the more forward-looking planning processes. And as we will discuss a little bit later, part of it is driven by lack of effective tools and technologies, as well as some organizational realignment that needs to happen in order to do it more efficiently. So given that, what are the priorities? It is, again, similar for most of the retailers, but specifically focusing on apparel and footwear space. Assortment accuracy is the top priority. They want to be able to, the three priorities, the enhanced assortments, improving analytics, and enhancing merchandise allocation, that's highlighted on the next page, by the way, are the key things that retailers are planning to focus on in the apparel, footwear, and accessory space. It is interesting that one of the factors, and we'll talk about it later, that drives some of this capability is inventory accuracy. And we are frankly surprised that inventory accuracy at the store level has not yet made it as one of the top three priorities. And go to the next page. And we've talked about the three priorities at the next page. So given those priorities, what are the retailers are working on? And probably the single significant area is integrating systems across channels for planning and allocation, as well as establishing cross-channel forecasting. A very interesting note that of those top 6 items that are listed, even though roughly 60% of apparel, footwear, and accessories retailers have already started integrating business processes across channels for planning and allocation, vast majority of the respondents indicate that it has been implemented, but it needs improvement. So the good news, some of the work has been done or started, but there's still a lot of opportunities to improve the processes around planning and allocation. Next space. So what do you want to see and what are we seeing and responding on the assortments across channels? And it's interesting that even though most of the retailers that we've responded have both brick and mortar as well as e-commerce channels that they operate in at a minimum, roughly a third of them have the same assortment across channels. So which is surprising, given that what we often find is that the consumers are preferred to shop in certain channels, and more successful retailers are recognizing the fact that the assortments need to be planned by channel, and in order to have a more effective positioning of inventory, to improve service levels, to eliminate out of stocks, but also not to have excess inventories in their own channel, they will then have to be either physically moved to a different channel or put on the promotion at the end of the season. Next page. And supporting that, the real-time visibility across channels is becoming a really key and critical element for retailers to be able to offer that consistent experience to the consumer when they're interacting with her. Unfortunately, only a quarter of retailers say that they provide real-time visibility of the kind of in-store online inventory. The majority have some, but not a complete visibility, and about 10% have no visibility across channel inventory. Now, the visibility of inventory is not the same thing as inventory accuracy, and that's probably one of the largest stumbling blocks in order to do an effective unified commerce fulfillment of inventory as we move forward. Next page. The good news is that retailers realize where they need to focus on, and 80% of them are looking to expand cross-channel capabilities, focusing on both the technology and some of the tools, as well as process redesign, realignment, and kind of organizational realignment. Next page. A little bit about the tools. A lot of the tools that we've reported to use for planning, JDA certainly been around for a number of years, a very solid system. SAS, Epicor, MID. There's about 33% of retailers reported using spreadsheets. I don't think it's necessarily exclusively spreadsheets, even though in some cases it is. But what we find is that some of these tools, especially earlier versions of these tools, are not as robust, requiring, even though I may have one of the planning solutions, but if it's not a more recent and flexible planning solution, I still need to take the data and use Excel spreadsheets to do some additional work in analyzing inventory in order to do better planning and allocation. To go to the next page, it's not surprising that when we asked about application effectiveness, that the basic core merchandise planning was deemed as more than 50% felt that it was very efficient or somewhat efficient. If we look into some of the channel planning, assortment planning, store planning, it's clearly there's a lot of room for an opportunity for improvement. And go to the next page. And clearly that drives a lot of the planning application upgrades over the next 1 to 3 years, where a number of retailers in apparel, footwear, and accessory space plan to invest in space planning, store location, and specifically assortment planning as they move forward. Next page. And in terms of top initiatives, it really crosses both the system integration, but also a lot of process realignment, business process improvement and organizational realignment is one of the key focus for retailers in the next 2 to 3 years. And go to the next page. And the last item that I'm going to cover is business intelligence. And there are significant improvement opportunities that retailers feel by leveraging business intelligence. However, this is still up and growing field, and not many retailers have a fully mature models to help leverage the data that is available not only in social media, but even in their own systems in order to do a more effective assortment planning and merchandise planning going forward. And so the conclusion, I think as we've covered, there's a lot of changes, a lot of improvements that we see that took place in the last year since our last study, but there's still significant opportunities exist for retailers to improve and integrate inventory across channels, to provide in-store and online cross-channel visibility to inventory, and to work on improving the accuracy of inventory going forward. So thank you again for the opportunity to share the study. It is available online. And if you have any questions, feel free to email them to us, and we will respond as quickly as we can. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dimitri. The analysis was really insightful. Next, we'll hear from Ben Lentini, Vice President of Planning Solutions at 7th Online. Ben has over 20 years of experience in retail, technology, and consulting at global companies including Levi's, Arthur Andersen, and Boucher. Now over to you, Ben.
Thanks, Jipek. As Dimitri has highlighted in his presentation, some of the key findings from the third annual survey are in line with what we observe from our customer base. As a company that exclusively services the apparel, footwear, and accessories industry, we find the industry's success in leveraging technology a welcoming sign. And we see a lot of creativity and drive from our customer base to overcome current limitations in technology, process, and organizations to further break down planning silos and drive inventory productivity. Today, with many executives, planning practitioners, as well as IT leaders in the audience, I'm going to share with you some best practices we have observed and offer a few points of consideration in making the most out of your investment in planning technology. Hopefully, this information, along with Dimitri and BRP's findings, can help you best formulate your strategies in achieving unified commerce in 2015 and beyond. Specifically, I want to focus on the following 3 areas. Just as BRP has observed from the survey, currently, many still see siloed inventory and assortments residing in different channels. This can clearly impact inventory productivity, profitability, as well as brand image. One key strategy we see from many forward-thinking clients is to address this limitation by going back to the roots, by realigning planning processes and technology between corporate and the channels. This way, the whole organization moves in a concerted manner with visibility and consideration for merchandise opportunities at the local and regional levels across selling channels as well as geography. This will be the first topic I'd like to discuss today, namely, strengthening corporate demand planning in order to gain cross-channel inventory visibility and drive localized assortments. Secondly, based on the BRP survey recommendation that there continues to be a need for better and greater usage of BI in planning, I'd like to share with you some best practices in selecting and using BI tools that best empowers the end users. And finally, echoing the survey finding that many organizations still largely rely on Excel or homegrown tools, I'd like to share with you a few considerations in selecting and implementing a system of choice. As you all understand very well, there are risks associated with any technology investment, but a successful implementation and adoption can bring significant ROI and direct impact to the bottom line. So I'd like to share with you the successes we have seen and the key factors behind that. As mentioned before in the study, BRP survey this year finds that nearly 50% of retailers have integrated processes and systems across channels. This means there is still slightly more than half out there who do not have a cross-channel process system. With direct commerce posing as a strong opportunity, growing at a double-digit rate for many apparel and footwear brands as well as retailers, it is not only the channel growing outside of the traditional brick-and-mortar operations. In fact, international expansion remains a key topic in retail along with omni-channel. Retailers continue to study and act on opportunities in Asia, Europe, Latin America, or our near neighbor, Canada. Some set up licensee relationships that function as a wholesale operation, while others set up corporately owned stores overseas. In one of retailers' much hyped about frontier of China, U.S. and European brands are experimenting with a variety of different ways to market entry. Some choose to test the water first by launching direct commerce sites instead of making riskier brick-and-mortar investments. In this global picture of retailing, the meaning of a channel potentially expands to include its entire global distribution, whether it is direct selling or through franchise or wholesale arrangements. While such expansion opens up greater market and revenue opportunities, the proliferation of channels and global regions also poses branding and merchandising challenges. A retail brand, therefore, needs to both strengthen its core brand identity as well as appeal to different demographics or shopping behaviors to satisfy the local consumer. Merchandise and assortment planning at the corporate, channel, and regional levels therefore becomes this critical liaison to translate financial and growth objectives into assortments that can drive such brand appeal, provide consistency, and ultimately generate the return on inventory investment on a global scale. Against such backdrop of channel and region proliferation, we begin to see an increasing shift at leading multi-channel global retail brands to move from a pure corporate-led planning to one that encourages more collaboration between corporate and channels or regions. This rebalance between top-down and bottom-up planning is now helping brands to best anticipate, identify, and react to regional-level opportunities, whether it arises from their direct channel in Japan, franchise operations in Europe, or brick-and-mortar stores here in the States. We at 7th Online support a company's move toward an integrated planning process in a strategic direction, from top-down merchandise planning, culminating with line creation, to bottoms-up assortment planning and in-season management. At these organizations, they begin to allow regions to create their own top-down merchandise plans, which they will get rolled up and compared to the corporate merchandise plan. The idea here is that the regional planners are closer to their customers and will have a better understanding of what their customers desire from the brand. The regional planners also have a much better knowledge of the marketplace as it pertains to consumer trends. What may be a growing category in the U.S. may not be the best opportunity in China or Australia. Similar to this regional planning process, many companies are conducting planning separately for their brick-and-mortar, web, and wholesale channels. Being able to provide visibility between these planning teams and creating ultimately linked plans allows vertical companies to better respond to regional and channel-specific opportunities. Being able to integrate planning by region or channel ultimately allows a company's merchandise planning process to be highly aligned with the consumer's preferences. Merchandise financial plan, therefore, becomes a type of consensus plan. The same principle can be used for line creation as well. Many global companies realize that a standard assortment for all regions and channels will not satisfy today's consumer. Some brands have started to allow certain regions to have a percentage of their buy be customized to their specific needs. These companies allow these regions to design and manufacture the product directly, with the corporate office reviewing and approving the designs. Creating these regional assortments that complement the global or corporate assortment is just one way of connecting the brand to the consumer. Once the lines have been finalized, forecasting demand for each style, especially the global styles, becomes vital in order to optimize inventory productivity. Retailers historically have relied on point-of-sale data to evaluate the success of a style or category of business. But in this digital age, we see retailers working closer with their marketing departments to try and understand these shifting consumer preferences and begin to incorporate forward-thinking analysis to complement the historical results. Allowing regions and channels to help determine category consumer demand, as well as potentially determining regional assortments specific to their customer, is where we see the future of planning within an organization that wishes to connect to their customer in today's world. To support such corporate region consensus planning, many adopt a single planning platform for domestic and global teams to gain enterprise-wide planning visibility and one version of the truth. Such a platform is able to support the collaboration and reconciliation between corporate and the regions. This results in alignment of corporate financial objectives with the region and channel-specific plans. This provides a critical foundation for the entire organization to move forward with clarity in its branding and assortment directions across all of its channels and regions. The single platform and data visibility further lends transparency and analytical power to drive strong execution of the plans. Given the kind of dynamics outlined in building corporate-driven, region-driven, or consensus plans, it is not surprising that organizations need to further leverage BI and analytics to uncover insights and opportunities at a granular level for all regions and channels. BRP surveys finding that only 25% are using business intelligence for cross-channel planning clearly highlights a key opportunity of improvement. Our experience working with apparel, footwear, and accessory retail brands clearly supports that. And we have seen the most successful planning organizations often take full advantage of BI and analytics. Although this hardly appears to be a revelation, what is more interesting is the fact that the BI tools they are using are often embedded in their merchandise and assortment planning systems instead of residing with the IT department. Such a setup makes it extremely easy for planners who are working on or reviewing plans to instantly create or run reports without reaching out to IT for help. Key meetings at the planning department can also be supported by these easily accessible reports and analysis on the fly within the same planning system. Business users themselves, who often don't have advanced database knowledge or query writing skills, can now gain analytical insights at their fingertips, often by performing simple actions such as dragging and dropping relevant product or location attributes or setting a few filters. In contrast to traditional BI products that are mostly built for and used by IT professionals, this type of business user-oriented BI is aimed to relieve IT's burden of support and empowers the planners and buyers to run their businesses. Shifting the usage of BI from the IT department to the planning teams themselves can be a key to increase the overall application of BI in critical cross-channel planning. In light of the fact that many apparel and footwear retailers often do not have large IT teams, the availability of the end-user-oriented BI tools can further relieve the burden of IT to support specific reporting needs for the planning function. Instead, IT can play a more strategic role within an organization to help align technology investments with the company's immediate and long-term goals. As a summary, A few considerations for implementing this best practice in BI usage are the following. The quickest way to ensure the planning team is taking advantage of BI is to invest in a planning system that provides an integrated or embedded BI tool. This not only provides planners direct access to analytical insights, it also saves the organization time and resources to implement two different systems instead of just one. Evaluate whether this BI tool is easily accessible for its intended users, the planners, buyers, and merchants. Does the tool require advanced database knowledge, or is it highly intuitive? Is it designed for IT professionals or business users who don't have background in database or query writing? Finally, to ensure its quick adoption and wide usage by your planning team, it is key to consider a BI tool that is industry specific. This directly impacts the amount of time and resources required from IT to customize attributes or KPIs if the tool is generic. Finally, I'd like to echo the BRP survey, finding that a significant portion of retailers still rely on Excel-based homegrown tools. This is clearly in line with our observations in the marketplace. And it is also important to acknowledge that retailers have long relied on spreadsheets to track, analyze, and plan assortments with moderate success. However, the recent few decades have seen retailers quickly expand in scale, from managing a dozen stores to national chains of hundreds of stores, and some even have a significant international footprint. As we highlighted earlier, the emergence of direct commerce as a viable shopping channel also adds to the complexity. It is truly these changing factors that have compelled the fastest growing retailers to adopt a systematic planning system to overcome analytical limitations of spreadsheets and gain enterprise-wide visibility. Going beyond spreadsheets is also driven by bottom-line pressures that retailers face in their growing enterprise. And any planning professional knows that lost sales and excess inventory are the main profit killers in retail. As a business scales rapidly, the amount of SKU, location, and planned data also grows exponentially, and a retailer risks losing management insights and a reliable picture of the business if it only relies on hundreds of disconnected spreadsheets. All of these factors, the scaling business, the need for granular level analysis, and the opportunity to drive down markdowns and stockouts via better data visibility are all commonly seen drivers that motivate retailers to move away from Excel to professional tools. So here I'd like to share with the audience a few considerations if you're contemplating moving off of Excel or potentially upgrading existing systems to realize unified commerce. In April, Forrester published a research report, The Forrester Wave, Retail Planning Solutions, and points out the defining differences between the once prevalent spreadsheet-based tools and today's professional packaged applications that support a range of assortment, allocation, forecasting, and promotion planning. According to Forrester, retailers have long used spreadsheets in combination with basic reporting tools to perform planning with moderate success. But these types of tools miss unknown unknowns, the type of or correlation or causation that can drive breakthrough retail success. Packaged planning solutions with mathematical and predictive models developed for large retailers are therefore deployed to answer the retailer's needs to equip merchants with more science to drive forecast, assortment, and allocation decisions. In addition to these packaged applications for planning, there is also a variety of offerings that help enhance planning more as a process improvement. The focus is therefore less on the systematic mathematical modeling for uplift based on price, promotion, or assortment elasticity. These offerings can be service-oriented and available for an organization as tool sets to improve certain processes. It is therefore important for an organization to clearly define its immediate pain point as well as its strategic growth objectives to make the right selection in planning applications. If considering a systematic planning application, in addition to the usual factor of its scalability, its ability to integrate with other systems such as your PLM or ERP, it is also important to point out that successful and fast-growing apparel and footwear retailers choose industry-specific planning applications. Such applications help them to best overcome challenges and uncover opportunities that are closely associated with this industry's defining characteristics, such as fast inventory turns and short life cycle merchandise. Unlike hardlines or other retail segments that feature more stable, longer life products, apparel, footwear, and accessories see a great amount of new product introductions or new store openings with limited or no history. An industry-specific planning and allocation system, therefore, can help fashion planners and buyers overcome these limitations and provide predictive intelligence to guide key decisions in pre-season planning and in-season management. As another example, to further drive growth and assortment localization, apparel retailers need to analyze products down to the granular level, ideally by style, color, size, and store. This can be overwhelming or close to mission impossible if planning is only based on Excel for a rapidly growing or high-volume retailer. A planning and allocation system tailored for the industry not only helps users to plan and analyze down to the most granular level of style, color, size, and door, it can, for example, further offer intelligence and automation to help balance color dispersion in assortments, giving planners confidence that even your often neglected low-volume stores will receive visually appealing assortments instead of ending up with just the basics. Additionally, echoing BRP's survey, finding that cross-channel capability is a big constraint for retailers, it is therefore important to leverage solutions that can enable channel-specific yet integrated demand planning to give corporate management enterprise-wide inventory visibility. For many, the ability for channels and regions to conduct planning and execution on a single platform can be a competitive differentiation in speed to market and assortment consistency. Finally, we see leading retailers today investing in cloud-based solutions to reduce the burden on their in-house IT team to support and maintain planning systems. For a company with a strong growth outlook, a cloud solution can easily scale to meet long-term needs. In our work with apparel, footwear, and accessory retailers, we see a lot of creativity in addressing common challenges in planning and allocation to drive towards unified commerce and win greater mind share and wallet share of the consumers. We at 7th Online have incorporated these best practices into our merchandise and assortment planning solutions to help retailers address opportunities with challenges in their retail, direct, and wholesale channels. I wish to thank you for listening to myself and Dimitri today. I hope it has been very informative.
Thank you very much, Ben, and I would like to extend my appreciation for Dimitri as well and thank all of you in attendance today. We encourage you to stay in touch, and please come visit us at the upcoming NRF Big Show in New York City in January. 7th Online will be exhibiting at booth 1442. Thank you all again, and have a great day.